What's up, guys? Welcome to Ep.6 of the MindTalks podcast. Today, Preston's back on. We're going to be having him on a lot in between bigger guests just because it's going to be both of our podcasts. We're going to be talking a lot. We both have good points to bring up, which brings us to what we're going to be talking about today. Mainly is going to be how we got into MMA and jiu-jitsu and training. So I guess I'll just start off with my story. So I was playing baseball at a pretty high level. If you know me, I played for, top teams, traveling around, going to college showcases, high tournaments, super high level. And then eventually over the years, it just started declining and sort of was getting burnt out and didn't really care for it much anymore. So my dad started jujitsu in July and was begging me to come
Hold up,
and
do you know what date you started? Like July.
no, my dad started in
Oh,
July.
okay. I was gonna say I started July 25th, but anyway, keep
So my
going.
dad started in July, and he was begging me to come and to try it out. Thinks he'll think I like it, whatever. And so I stopped baseball in September. I think I was doing the off season for a team called the Kansas City Sparks, and I was done. Officially hung it up there. So so my dad finally told me again, and I was like, all right, yeah, let's go. I want to go. And that was in October. So I had my first class in October with Professor Alex. It was on a Wednesday, and we were going over half guard knee shield and like half guard sweeps. That was the first thing I ever learned, and like immediately I was hooked. So I grew up watching the UFC. Like my parents were super into it. So I mean, since I was a baby, I've always seen the UFC fights. I can tell you exactly where I was when Anthony Pettis knocked down Benson Henderson with the Showtime kick. Like I was in my grandma's basement and watching that on the TV, and it's like that was 2013, I believe, and like I was 9, and I still remember that. I remember where I was for the when Anderson Silva broke his leg on Chris Weidman, and these might not be far back for you, but for me, I'm only 16, so
Yeah.
remembering those is different. Um, but I've grown up watching the UFC fights they would always order, but I didn't really start paying attention seriously until I started jujitsu, and that's when and that it's led into a crazy obsession with both of us. Like, I mean, we both can pretty much name every fighter on every card, like prelims, early prelims, whatever. I mean, we know the whole roster. So, but when I first started paying attention, had a couple jiu-jitsu classes, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start paying attention. So I typed in UFC on YouTube, and the first video that popped up was Dana White's Contender Series, Sean O'Malley. And I clicked on that video, and I watched the video, and immediately I was hooked on Sean. So so I got subscribed to their Patreon, got subscribed to the YouTube, started watching all of their stuff, all of his stuff, Tim Welch's stuff, and that really it was like I started jujitsu, and then like 2 weeks later I was hooked to be like a fighter and a competitor, and it's just spiraled from there on how it getting to improve yourself in different ways. So since then I started eating right, started drinking more water, started doing ice baths, started just taking care of myself, and that's why I think everybody should start jujitsu is because it sparks something in your head that you didn't even know you had. And that was really it. It was my dad got me into jujitsu, and then guys I trained with like Tyler, Chris, my teacher, Professor Anthony. They all they all helped me start and get on the right track for training for MMA, and has led me to what I am right now and where I'm going to be in the future. So that's really my story.
What's crazy about that is like you look at God like you said, like you looked up UFC, you found Sugar Sean, and like he's like one of your top guys and who you watch, and subconsciously you fight like him. Like
Yeah,
I feel like when we spar and stuff, and then I watch the videos and the clips back, I'm like, oh, I took that from this guy and that from this guy, and obviously you don't want to copy and paste your whole game, but
yeah,
like when you have your favorite fighters and that's who you watch fight, like it almost like your brain subconsciously like grabs that and it's like I've been in that position, I've done this, or and then you use it in sparring without even knowing it until you like rewatch it. So,
yeah.
but I noticed that like when we spar and stuff like that, I'm like it's very Sugar Sean esque.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's sick.
And it's important too having those role models to pull different stuff
Yeah,
after because you you want to look at and take after the guys that are in the spot you want to. So like it's not copying and pasting because you have to become your own person, your own fighter, your own grappler, whatever. But taking those aspects from certain fighters definitely elevates your game.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
so how did you get into everything?
So there's kind of like 3 different points in my life where MMA has like really sparked, but it's always kind of been a constant. So when I was like really young, I remember watching Chuck versus Tito with my dad like 1,000 times. Like I've probably watched that fight more than any other fight ever. Like you pop in the disc and we watch it over and over and over again. So my dad had a couple of fights, and then his friend was a pro fighter. He had a bunch of fights, like 7-second head kick knockout. Like we trained with him sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I remember like one time, like we were going over like Thai clinch stuff, and I like kneed him in the nose, like legit, and it started like gushing blood. And I was like a little kid, and then they'd be out in the garage training, like actually real training, and I would just be hitting like our old like POS dryer with my boxing gloves on, just bang, 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 just cracking it. And I was like, yeah. So that's really what started my obsession, my love for it. And it was like kind of always like attached to the relationship with my dad. So it's always kind of been like, really important to me. And then after I moved away, it kind of faded a little bit. Like I wasn't into it as much. I still loved it. And I was like, yeah, like that'll always be a part of me. And then I did Taekwondo for a little bit. It wasn't really my thing. I kind of got burnt out on it. And I was like, I hate katas or whatever. So I got kind of into that, bailed on it. And then I didn't really do anything with MMA for a while.
What's a while?
Probably a couple years. But like I would always like, me and my friends or me and my stepbrother would always be playing like tap out and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I knew like basic arm bars, like I wasn't good at them by any means, but like when you know them compared to someone who knows nothing about it, you can apply it. I had like kind of good guillotines. So like people would be like, like going from middle school to high school, like everyone's like, let's play tap out. Let's see who's better at this or whatnot. And I was always just like guillotining people. Because it was just like the subconscious thing. Like I'd kind of grown up training a little bit, so I knew it. But other than that, I really wasn't into it. And then I remember one day I was just like on YouTube and I saw a Jose Aldo highlights video. And I was like, why not? I'll watch it. Mm. And then I became obsessed with Jose Aldo. I was like, this is my favorite fighter ever behind Chuck Liddell, because I'd watched Chuck and Tito so many times. So then that was at the same time that the hype was being built up for Jose versus McGregor. And then I was like, let's go Jose Aldo. He's gonna wreck McGregor. And then McGregor just starched him. And then from there on out, like I haven't stopped watching MMA. Like it's been in my life 100%. I haven't been training all that time, however. So then I just became obsessed with it and was watching it all the time, like keeping up with it. And then last year, I was dating. Okay, so this part is kind of lame, but I was dating this chick, and then I went to my dad's house. So that's all the way in Washington State, right?
We're in Wisconsin, by the way.
Yeah, so I go to Washington, and I'm dating this girl, and I was gone for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we had been dating for a while, and literally like all I was doing was hanging out with this chick and working. And I would work shitty hours just to hang out with this chick because I was like, this chick is everything. I made that mistake. So I had left, and then on my birthday, she had ended up cheating on me. I didn't know until I got back. So then I came back. Everyone told me she cheated on me, and then she was going to like lie to me and say she didn't, but then just break up with me anyway. So then we ended up splitting up, and like it was confirmed she cheated on me like fully and all this stuff. And that took me to like a really, really dark place. And I was like, dude, this sucks. Like I was like chilling in my room, like having panic attacks, like so bad my face would go numb. Like I literally had like nothing in my life to where I like gave a shit. Like I wasn't gonna like kill myself or anything, obviously, but like I was like, man, this sucks. Like this is a really hard time. And then I was like, you know what? Like, why not try jiu-jitsu? So the first day I walked into jiu-jitsu class, like it was really hard for me to even go there and everything. And then I had my first class. We were doing north south, switch to like a shoulder lock to then knee bar, and
So
then
rough first
yeah, it was
class.
like I was like So then yeah, we did that, and then I was the last guy on the mats with Coach Lee, and yeah, ever since then I was just like I've just been hooked. Like I had the longest running I guess what do you call it?
Streak.
Yeah, the longest running streak without missing a class throughout the whole gym. And then the only reason I did was because my shoulder from my neck and all that stuff. So yeah, I've been hooked since then. And then I slowly sort of, like realized like I can take this serious. I can compete and I can fight and I can do this stuff like at a serious level. And then I remember when it like fully clicked is when we were watching the fights and I had just gotten out of my sling, and then Professor was like, "We need to get you we need to get your shoulder better so you can be in there," while we were watching the fights, and I was like, just for him to say that, it made it like so much more of a real thing for me to be like, I really can, and I know that there's like people that are watching me and coaching me and think that I can and know that I can. And so yeah, that's when it became like, a reality. And now we're here to where I train every day. So
Yeah, it's the life.
Yeah, but it's been a long journey, but MMA and everything has kind of been a constant throughout my entire life. And so yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person where it's like I get obsessed with something and I get kind of good at it, and then once I get kind of good at it, I throw it to the side. But with MMA, it's never been like that. It's been like I've always been obsessed with it, and like I'm always staying up and watching all the cards and training all the time and all that. And like, yeah, I don't know. It's nice to have something like that where it's like I'll never be tired of it.
Yeah, I have so I've been debating telling this story because like it could be interpreted a bunch of different ways, because some people will be like, oh man, he's an asshole for telling this story, and like me telling it, like I'm not trying to say like, oh, I was famous, or oh, like I mean it'll be better when you actually hear the story. But
yeah,
I was in my first competition and I just got done with my last match, and I won all my matches, submitted everybody, and I walked off the mats and I was walking back with my coach, and this girl comes out of the crowd, like out of the people watching around like the barricades, and she asked me for a picture, and I was like it was nothing at that time, like I was just like, oh yeah, a picture, but like I didn't compete against this girl, like I didn't know her, and she had her dad take the picture, and like that was it, and I kept walking. But it's like in my head it just clicked that like it could be a reality that like when I leave the house, like people would want to do that, or like I could work so hard to get to a spot to where that's a reality. And like I said, I'm not telling that story thinking like, oh, I'm the shit, I was the best at that competition, or she wanted to take a picture because she thought I was famous or whatever. No, I'm just saying like that's when in my head it made that click of like, okay, like this is a real thing. I could really take it to that next level.
Yeah, I think the reason that people get so mad about that or like take it the wrong way, and it's the same with like my social media stuff. Like whenever I post like our training videos or anything like that, it's because I like love what I'm doing. Like I thoroughly enjoy it, and it makes me happy that I can go train and stuff like that. And so I post it just because I'm like, this is my social media, so I'm gonna post what I do. You don't have to follow me, you don't have to like what I do, but like I think it gets so much less likes and things like that, which doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit, but I think it gets less likes and all that because people are seeing other people do stuff that they think they should be doing. And I've been that guy where I was like, I saw somebody doing something cool, and like I wasn't doing what I thought I should be doing, so I was like hating on them. I was like, oh, that's lame.
Everybody's jealous. Like, everybody at some point in their life is jealous at something, and MMA
has made me go like so much farther past that, to where when I see people that I know, especially from like high school and stuff, like being successful or doing good things, like it makes me happy for them. Like I want to see them succeed, because I don't think successful people hate other successful people.
Yeah.
All the people at the top are like, congrats, like good thing, like good job on your success. And so kind of like freeing yourself from being that hater is so good.
And jiu-jitsu, it easily makes that transition from jealousy into wanting to see others succeed because, jiu-jitsu is an individual sport, but I've said this in probably all 6 of my podcasts now. Jiu-jitsu is an individual sport, but you have a whole community behind you. And when you're in the gym, you want to see your training partner succeed. If Preston hits me in a submission, right, that I've never seen before, or it was a good setup, whatever, like in the back of your head a little bit, you're going to be like, oh man, like he tapped me. But it's going to be like I'm going to be happy for him, and it's going to be cool, and I'm going to ask him to show me, or like seeing others succeed, and more importantly, helping others succeed is a huge part of the jiu-jitsu and MMA community. And that's why jiu-jitsu is just such an important aspect of everything.
Yeah, it's unlike any other sport, really, where, I mean, like, obviously there's team and individual sports, but like in football, like if you talk all this shit, like, and then your team plays another team, like no one's gonna single you out and be like, you said this, and now we gotta like, but like in MMA and jiu-jitsu, like if you say all this negative stuff about somebody and then you guys roll or you compete in a competition, you get smashed, you got to look at yourself and be like, wow, like I made a fool of myself.
Yeah.
So, and like what you said, like with tapping each other, whatever, like we go days where one of us will destroy each other, and then the next training session, like the other person will destroy that. It's like,
and it's with everything too. Like, like we had a day where I submitted him 7 times in a row with 7 Darsets.
Yeah,
2 of which were when I was in his close guard.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's like he'll triangle me 10 times in 6 minutes, and I don't get him anything. Or with striking, there's days like when the growth that we've seen from each other's striking has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the first time we ever sparred each other, it was awful. Like I can't even watch the videos of how bad it is, and like just seeing each other's growth and seeing how Preston's a lot shorter than I am, so like seeing how he's able to get inside and work the body and then come out or clinch, and then seeing how I'm able to find my range, like it looks so much better, it feels so much better. And that's not even from like really drilling so much, it's more just dissecting all the fights we watch, dissecting certain fighters like Sean, like whoever, just taking their aspects and taking parts of their game and putting it into our game. And I mean, we've probably gotten 50 times better than 6 weeks ago, probably even longer. We've probably been striking consistently 3 times a week for about 5 to 8 weeks now, and it's just been so beneficial. It's really taken our games everywhere to the next level. I mean, me and Preston are always, our cardio's through the roof. We're guys that put in the work, and just seeing that progress it's inspiring to, like, seeing other people's progress inspires us to progress, and it's been going real good.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I never, like in other sports, like you see a team do good or you see a opposition do good and you're like you hate it, you know what I'm saying? But like in this sport, like when I see someone else do good, like it's just, it makes me feel good too in a weird way, because not only do I get to train with them, but like I just get to be around that success, and it just makes it so much better. And yeah, I don't know, it's like a hard thing to explain to someone who's never done it.
Who was it that said about the training partners, and like if you just
Faraz.
It was Faraz.
Yeah, he was saying how, like, if someone comes into the gym for the first time, you don't need to destroy them and smash them and injure them, because if you treat them well and you kind of bring them into that community, like then you have a training partner.
Yeah, like you don't want to just kill the new guy, because then not only does that limit the amount of people you train with, but that also, like, it's not good for him. Now maybe he's self-conscious about coming in next time, or maybe he doesn't come in for a second class, or maybe now he's down on himself thinking, man, I should have done that, when in reality you just have more experience and you shouldn't have crushed him. You want to build everybody around you, not only because it benefits them, but it also benefits you. It gives you more training partners, higher quality training partners, more training time. Maybe like Preston, for example, me and Preston have literally the exact opposite jiu-jitsu games. So Preston will pull guard and then work from close guard. He'll work triangles, arm bars, all stuff like that. I like to pass the guard, stay on top, work the front headlock, and wrestle. I like to stand and just scrap. And it benefits both of us so much because Preston will get me in a triangle and he'll show me next time how to avoid that one. Or I'll get him in a darce or a guillotine or an anaconda and I'll tell him blank will limit that next time or whatever. And having those high quality training partners that are good in all different aspects, and you just, even if you just take one thing from each training partner that's mastered or gotten really good at that subject, it elevates your game to a whole new level.
Yeah, seriously. Like I've without each and every training partner, like we're literally nothing. You know what I mean? Like when I look at the lineup at the end of class, like I can tell you what I've learned and what I've taken, like knowledge wise, from each person. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like especially because people will say like, call me like baby Chris,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I never like intentionally try to like steal his game, obviously.
Chris is a guy that has like similar styles with playing from closed guard triangles, all stuff like that.
We're both just like skinny, kind of scrawny, like a little like he's pretty lanky. I'm not as lanky, but yeah, stuff like that. And it's like big shoes to fill, but like seeing him work is like, okay, so guys like me can go against high level, bigger guys and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so like, where do you see yourself / want to go as far as like MMA?
So I want to take MMA as serious as possible and get to the highest level I possibly can. For me, my end goal in MMA is to be a UFC champion by the time I turn 28, eventually hold belts in multiple divisions. And after that, that's when I want to really take jiu-jitsu seriously because I'm not stupid and I know that eventually MMA, it'll catch up to you and, you have to retire at 35, those higher 30s. But jiu-jitsu is something that you can compete pretty seriously for a while because it doesn't wreck your body as much. And it still eventually catches up to you, but like hard competing. Training, you could pretty much train forever. You could always drill and do light rolls or whatever, but competing hard. So my goal is to be a UFC champion. That's where I see myself. That's where I know I can be as long as I keep doing what I'm doing. And then probably take competing and also teaching pretty seriously after. I want to own my own gym. I want to have a good MMA team, like a Team Alpha Male where former fighters and then gets a new generation of fighters, help bring them up. I just want to embody myself completely in the sport and the lifestyle and really get to that next level. I want to be the greatest fighter that there was. And not only the greatest fighter, but the greatest possible version of myself. How about you? What do you want to?
Yeah, I think that's like a really good piece is like the greatest version of yourself. Like you can always say, I want to be as good as this guy or as great as that guy or all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like I want to be the best version that I could be.
Yeah.
So whether that's, I mean, obviously the goal is always to be the greatest, a champion, a top guy. But if I'm not like delusional and thinking that something can happen and I might never be able to train again to where like I could be driving home and then I could get head-on collision by somebody and die or something like that. So I never really, press it too hard. Like I have to be this or have to be that. It's just a matter of like, I want to be better every single day. And that doesn't have to necessarily be like super hard training sessions like what we did today where we watched, a couple.
We watched Jeff Glover's Dirty Dancing instructional and Ryan Hall's Passing the Guard instructional.
Yeah, and just like stuff like that where it's like we don't have to kill our bodies every single day.
Yeah.
Like mental training is super underrated. So doing stuff like that and just being better always is amazing. But don't get me wrong, I still have I have a massive goals list in my phone, and on the goals list it's do the fights, make the contender series, get the UFC contract, get in the top 15, top 10, top 5 champion. Like it's there and I have that drive, but like I'm not super worried about it. Like as long as I'm doing what I love and everything, like I'm happy. And one day, yeah, like you said, like I would love to have my own gym and be able to teach people stuff. Like even now teaching people things is like great. Like when people take knowledge from you, like obviously I don't have the most knowledge by any stretch of the imagination, but teaching people the limited stuff that I do have is just, um, it's a great feeling. And so, yeah, but like we said last time, like I'm just a student of the game.
Yeah, and you'll always be a student of the game, and that's an important mindset to have, is especially in this sport. And it's doing those little things, watching those instructionals that put you ahead. It's like, I mean, we watched a total of like an hour of instructionals today, 2 instructionals, but like really dissecting and then drilling those for minutes at a time and just drilling them. And now like we probably learned 5 different, not only moves, but like ideologies of jujitsu that you might not even have thought of. Like something that we learned in the Brian Hall video, it's like it's centering yourself to give yourself like the maximum amount of strength in a certain position. So if I am trying to block Preston from coming in and my body's turned like this, it'll easily collapse my arm. But if I'm turned, this pressure's coming here, so it's a lot harder. And it's just like different stuff like that most people don't even think of. Like most guys in your role aren't going to think, they're just going to be thinking about position and submission and just strictly jujitsu things. But if you take like aspects of science and things like that and apply it, well, then you're a step ahead of the game. And it's that thing of, MMA is a taxing sport on your body, on your mind. I'm dealing with some stuff right now from a hit that I want to just eliminate. And so it's not always killing yourself, killing your body, training 1,000% every day. You have to have days where maybe you just focus on recovery, or you just focus on reading that book, or just drilling, or watching the fights and dissecting them and thinking what can I put in my game? And those mental reps, all of it's so important. It's a whole group of things. It's not just going in and training. If you're strictly just going to your MMA class or your jiu-jitsu class and not doing anything, like nothing outside, you're not going to be anywhere near somebody that goes to the same amount of classes but does things outside, does the recovery, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's an old-fashioned saying like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, like I've never been the most, not even close, never been the best athletically or the most talented or the most like natural at anything really. And it's almost like a blessing in disguise, because there's so many people, like most people that I know that are just naturally good at stuff don't try. They just don't care, because like they're like, well, I don't even need to try.
That's how I was with baseball too. Like I was always the best on my team up until like high school, and then that's when I had to work to be the best, and I just didn't want to put in the work, and that's when it all went downhill.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like especially with any martial art, like you don't have to be the best athletically. Like if someone beats you on technique, they are going to destroy you. So like you have to work hard and all that stuff. And like for quite a while I was like, well, hard work is just in the gym. Like you just lay the sweat down on the mats. Like you're just there till the last roll. But like as time goes on, I've learned like recovery is huge, taking that serious. Like diet is huge, like mental work, like meditation, and watching those videos and dissecting stuff, and even watching myself train. Like
we record everything.
John Danaher said, like, like sometimes in our heads we think we're better at one thing than we are, or worse at other things, but the video doesn't lie. The video will tell you the honest truth, what you suck at and what you're good at and all that stuff. So, and
having honest people around you, like when Israel Adesanya was asked a question at the Paulo Costa like conference sort of before the fight, and somebody asked, what do you guys like about each other, or what do you respect, something along the lines of that. And Israel Adesanya said how Paulo Costa did a good job of getting a group of yes men with him, like a group of guys that always say yes. And you can't have those people. You can't have, if I ask Preston if I'm good at blank and I'm not, and he knows that, and he says yes, well then I'm not, then I think that I'm good in my head at that one thing, but I'm not. Like, you have to have people and coaches and training partners around you that aren't afraid to tell you you have to work on this. And I think that's what builds us up so much, is that I'll tell him if what he did isn't going to work or it wasn't good, or he'll tell me if blank won't work, this won't be good, whatever. And it's having that support behind you of not just yes men and people that will benefit you by telling you the truth.
Well, it's not like it's super important with MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff, but that's just like a normal life thing.
Yeah.
And people definitely get it twisted. Like, I've lost a lot of friends, and a lot of people say like I'm an asshole, which sometimes I can be, I won't lie, but it just comes down to me being like, life is way too short for me to tell you something just to make you feel good. And I do it a lot with my friends where I'm like, I'm not going to tell you something just to make you feel good. I'm going to tell you the truth because I give a shit about you.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of my boys watch this, they can 100% vouch. Like, I've been like, and I would expect them to do the same thing. I'm like, this is where I think like you need to change something, or you need this. And it's never like a thing where I'm like mad at them or anything. It's like, I'm worried about you, or I care about you, or something like that. And I've had friends do the same for me. And I'm like, I'm glad you told me that, because I didn't even look at it that way, or I didn't even notice it until you said it. So I think like, not like, and it's so comfortable to surround yourself with yes men. So it's extremely important not to.
Yeah.
And I wish, like I surrounded myself with a lot of people that were like, what are you doing right now? Like, to where they told me like I was messing up here or there and got my act together and stuff like that. Like, and I wish I had more like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never want to be around a yes man because it drives me insane.
Yeah.
So
It's like even the other, and it doesn't have to be big things too, like super big life changes. But like the other day we were texting back and forth, and I was like, man, my body just doesn't feel good. Like, I'm so sore, whatever. And he was like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have ate that cake last night, or whatever. Like little things like that, and it'll change. It'll really benefit the other person. You have to be in there not just for yourself. You have to have a friendship, a bond, a training partner, whatever it is that will benefit both you and not just one, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And like, the more you train with somebody, the more like training chemistry you get, to where like, I don't know, it's a hard thing to explain, but the more you train with somebody, the more it is. And like, I talked to a professor about this one time. Like, there's something so like deep about jiu-jitsu and MMA where it's like, when somebody taps you, you're like, wow, this dude could literally rip my arm off and kill me if he wanted to, but he's choosing not to.
Mm-hmm.
And like in Joe Rogan's podcast where he talks with Cameron Haynes, like, we live in a society where like we've kind of all agreed to not do these horrible things, but like we're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think jiu-jitsu really exploits that. And that's why a lot of people run from it, because they're like, I don't want to feel vulnerable.
Attacking that ego and attacking what you have yourself built up to be, from people that, like, I don't know how, like, if you're a real big guy, right? Like we'll use the LeBron, Colby Covington, for example. Regular people that don't train are gonna tell LeBron, yeah, he could beat up Colby Covington. Yeah, he could beat up Kamaru Usman. But if you were to even just train, not even get in the cage, but just walk into their gym or whatever, like, they could easily, with 20% effort, kill him. Like, literally take his life.
Yeah, his whole worldview would change. And it's like, I honestly, like, to an extent, I don't blame him, because if I had never touched a basketball and I'd never played basketball, I'd be like, that's easy. I could hop on the court and do that. But it's just, it's so different. And it's a thing that, not a lot of, or most people will never feel, which is unfortunate, because I think, everyone needs jiu-jitsu. But anytime, like, somebody, like I said on my social media, when people like hate on it and they're like, oh, like, that shit's lame, like, it doesn't work, or all that.
Or they think it's like karate.
Yeah, I'm like, I literally, like, I don't give the hate back. I don't care. I either don't respond, or I'm like, please come to the gym. Like, not so I can smash you, not so I can make you feel bad, not so I can make you look like a fool, but so that way, like, I don't even care if they roll with me, to be honest. But so that way they can see the reality of what it is, and how it's like really life-changing and stuff like that. And like, I want everyone to experience it. But then again, if everyone knows jiu-jitsu, then what's the point of jiu-jitsu? But,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to me, it's the best sport.
Yeah.
So
I just really want to drive home that yes man concept and how terrible it is. Like, I have a competition coming up. Today's a week from today, actually, and he's going to be coming. He'll probably be in the corner. So it's like, if I ask him if he thinks this technique will work and he says yes, and I go in that competition, and he knows that it's no, and I go in that competition and try that technique and it doesn't work, like, he just messed up me. Like, by him thinking that he's doing good, telling me, oh yeah, that'll work, he's really hurting me in the long run, because that won't work. It's having that mutual respect and that mutual want for growth that is really important.
Yeah, like if you're about to compete, I'm not gonna be like go for the farce like first try. Like, I'm gonna say go for the regular Darce. If you feel like you are miles ahead of this guy, sure, throw out something flashy.
Go for the
farce. But like, it's not doing anybody favors by being a yes man, and it actually does a disservice. Because if I was surrounded by yes men, I'd still be a chunky 160-pound, 5'7" kid who like doesn't know anything about combat or anything about MMA or jiu-jitsu or anything. So yeah, I mean, I could literally talk about yes men all day because it drives me insane, but it really comes back to the comfort zone. And if you sit in your comfort zone, you're not progressing in any sort of way.
Yeah.
Being comfortable, being uncomfortable is like one of the greatest things that you could do for yourself. And jiu-jitsu is a perfect way to do that. Like, people tell me all the time, they're like, I don't know how you can sit in a choke for 3 minutes defending. Like, I would be insane. Like, that would drive me insane. I'm so claustrophobic and all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's the thing, is like, someone can do that to you in like a normal day. So you need to know how to like calm down. And it transfers to really everything in life. Like, when I was brand new, like, Lee told me, he was like, sit in a choke a little bit longer each time. Like, don't hurt yourself, don't get past, don't pass out and all this stuff. But the more you do it, like, the more it'll toughen you up in a way, and it'll make everyday life easier too.
And it brings a sense of confidence knowing that you could handle stuff if something goes wrong, like, and it's simple stuff. Like the video of Matt Serra in the restaurant where some drunk guy was like harassing the waitress, and Matt Serra just had him in mount, just sat in mount until the cops got there. It's like, you will learn mount in your first week of class and how to properly apply the pressure. And if you're watching, you don't do jiu-jitsu, mount is just when I'm on top of Preston and I'm sort of sitting on like his chest area. And it's so effective just in ways that you don't know, like different ways you can apply pressure. And it gives you that sense of confidence walking around knowing like, okay, I can defend myself. I can defend my friend. I can defend my family, whatever. It just benefits your whole life.
Yeah, I grew up really being like a scared, timid kid, like I always had the thing inside me that was like a fighter. But the way I kind of grew up and all that, I was kind of more flight than I was fight, just because deep down I had this insecurity of like, I can't handle myself if stuff pops off. Like, I would talk like I did. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not scared, knowing I was. But, like, doing jiu-jitsu and putting in the time and the training and all that, it reassures you that,
and it's a reality check too.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people benefit from it. And, if people try it and then say, I don't want to do it, at least you tried it.
Yeah.
And at least now you're not all that you think you are. Everyone thinks you're going to go into a street fight, one punch, clean somebody's clock, and walk away untouched. Reality is, with people's adrenaline running and stuff like that, no. You're gonna have a tough fight, and your hands are gonna hurt even if you never get
people
punched.
Think you're gonna punch somebody in their face and your hand will be fine. Like,
odds are you're not doing a perfect punch with just the two first knuckles and getting something clean. Like, odds are, like, I know people that have fought at parties and broke their hand.
It's like the boss rooting how he defends punches. Like how he said his old method was he wouldn't parry or slip. He'd literally just lower his head. So when you would punch back, when they weren't wearing gloves, you just hit the top of the head because it's so hard. It'll hurt you more than it'll hurt them.
Yeah. And, I tell people, I tell all my friends about like leg kicks, and like you see them on TV and stuff, and you're like, whatever. If you take a hard leg kick, and you've never taken a leg kick before, you won't be walking afterwards.
Yeah.
Like you will be sitting down, damn near crying because your leg is dead.
Yeah.
It's it's just something that people have never experienced, and a lot of people won't, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. I can't explain to people enough, or reiterate the point. Like, this is something everyone should be doing.
Yeah. I'm excited to tap some people up at this competition.
Dude, I think the tournament is going to be like, this isn't me being a yes man.
Yeah.
I just think that, because your first tournament went good, and this one, I think you're on a whole new level.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be, I'm not saying there's not going to be tough guys there. There's definitely going to be tough guys, but I think you're taking the cake.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling good. I'm feeling stronger than ever, and I just think seeing that growth from where I was last tournament compared to now, knowing that like last tournament I went undefeated, which it means a little something. It would to everybody, but it really doesn't mean much to me because when I go to jiu-jitsu, I get tapped all the time. I get tapped more than I tap people, and so you're always losing, and losing isn't the right word because it's not. You're not losing something. It's just you're tapping.
Learning. You're learning more than you're losing.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable with the idea of that, but I just know that I'm going to be coming in at a higher level and coming in more prepared, more mentally prepared. Who else is doing the stuff we do? The ice baths, eating right, everything. And I just think he's 3 years older than me. Preston's 19. And I just think for our age, we are so much more higher above than our regular age groups. And that's not me being cocky. That's my confidence coming from my preparation. And I think it'll go well.
Yeah. I mean, especially with my first tournament, you can lie to yourself. You can tell yourself, I'm not worried. I'm good. I got this. But deep down, if you prepared adequately enough. And I knew the first tournament, I told myself I was ready, but I knew going in, I am not ready. I don't train enough. I don't do this enough. I didn't, as soon as I left the gym, it was whatever. I would eat anything I wanted. Mm-hmm. Anything. I didn't calorie count. I didn't watch. I just did whatever. So when I went that first tournament, I knew it wasn't going to be good, and it wasn't. So I mean, I think Michael Bisping talked about it, but you can confidently take a day off when you know that you need it and that your body needs it.
Yeah. And
you know that you've been putting in the time in the training.
Yeah. It takes confidence to take a day off.
Yeah. That's huge. And like I said, you can lie to yourself, but you truly know if you put in the work. And I think, we train so much, we spend so many hours in a week training and dedicating ourselves to this that I feel confident sitting in your corner that you're going to take the first place. Yeah.
And touching up on that real quick too, that how much we train, it's people will look at it and be like, God, you train so much. Don't you want to go out with your friends, or don't you want to go do this? And it's for us, training isn't training. It's not like work. It's we enjoy putting in hours a day. We enjoy striking or watching instructionals for 4 or 5 hours multiple times a week, not including when we go in to actual class to train. And it's winning every day. It's not going on stretches. And if the guy I'm competing against on Sunday, one of them, if he trains twice a day every day for a week, so 7 days he trained twice a day, but the next week he had to take the whole week off because of how sore he was, and instead I just trained once a day and every other day was just light or watching instructionals, but I did that for 2 weeks, I'm going to be better off than what he was. And it's having that consistency, because consistency over time equals results. And that's why we train so much, because we truly love it.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people when they start jiu-jitsu, me included, when I started, I was like, I want to do this 7 days out of the week. You're going to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time to really be able to do it every single day.
Yeah.
And to not get burnt out, because when you first start, you're just getting crushed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna get old if you do it so much. So that's why now, when I go and do jiu-jitsu at least 3 to 4 times a week, that's for me right now, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And
plus what we're doing outside.
Yeah, so I'm saying and then we strike basically every other day that's not that day.
Yeah.
To where now I'm this is a good amount. This is a good amount of frequency. Granted, I think it'll go up the longer I train, the more of that stuff. But yeah, I think, you don't need to burn yourself out. And they say going 2 days a week for 20 years is better than doing every 5 days a week for 2 years.
Yeah.
What
we're doing right now is we go into class Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then an open mat on Sunday. And then pretty much every day that we don't have jiu-jitsu, we're at my house training. We're either striking for multiple hours, or we're watching instructionals, we're drilling jiu-jitsu, we're rolling jiu-jitsu, we're hitting pads, we're doing whatever, and it all adds up. That's a perfect amount, 4 days in. And then even if we're going every day, it's still, we're not killing our bodies every day. So that's why it works. And I think we got a good thing going right now. I think it'll show when I compete. I think it'll show when you compete. And I think in the long run, we're going to be up there and frequency will increase. But it's the way we have it going right now, it'll be good for sure.
Yeah. And back to when you talked about when people were don't you want to do this? And don't you want to take a break and all this stuff? It's I think the word gratitude is so powerful, and Tim and Sugar talk about it. Especially recently, I'm just driving somewhere, or I'm filling up my water bottle, or I'm doing something simple, and I just get so much gratitude for what I'm doing, and how I'm oh, dude, I get to train today, or I get to do this today, and just being in the moment and having the gratitude to for being able to do that, the gratitude for being able to train is just unreal. There's so many people out there that want to train but can't because their bodies are limited. So for me, it's it's a blessing each and every day that I get to train, whether that's a hard session, easy session, or whatever. It's
making the most out of it.
Yeah. There's so many people that would kill to be in my position. So just having that gratitude and being thankful it makes everything better, honestly. It makes your whole day so much better. And even when stupid stuff happens, and I initially I get mad. Someone in traffic cuts me off and I get mad, and then I'm they didn't even mean to do it, most likely.
Yeah.
And why should their actions make my happiness go up or down? I was listening to Kyler Phillips' podcast on the way here. He was don't make up this whole story in your head of how these people are out to get you and accuse them of something. Instead, choose your reaction and choose to just let it go and be happy.
Yeah. And it's
stuff that.
Being aware of those emotions before it happens too. And that's sort of the ultimate goal of meditation, for me at least, is to be able to see those emotions and figure out why. If somebody says something and it shouldn't have affected me, but all of a sudden I get just a anger build up in me, it's seeing why, thinking, and it's looking to see if it's from a deep-rooted issue or if it's from something else for your day. You can't let it affect your whole day, and that's why the meditations are so powerful. Having gratitude is extremely powerful.
Yeah, and just looking at yourself and being why do I feel like this? Why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I feeling lonely, or whatever it is? Just finding out why, and then being how do I fix that? Instead of just stewing in it, and it only makes it worse versus actually trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people these days want to be sad or want to feel bad for themselves or want to throw a pity party, instead of being I can go out and do really whatever I want to do today.
Yeah.
And I love what I do for work right now, and just like all around being happy, it changes everything. And the way you look at, it's like, I forget who talked about it, but there's really no such thing as a bad experience. It's really what you view it as.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the hardest things in my life, such as getting cheated on, destroying my shoulder, and then having it redone, like after those experiences, like I think those were the most growth in my life. And after they were done, I look back on them, I'm like, I'm almost happy that happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's
Every setback is a build for a comeback, and come back 10 times stronger.
yeah, it's when you look back on it, it's just like next level almost. And everyone's like, oh my God, like that must have sucked so bad. I'm like, initially, yeah. But afterwards, no, you know. So
yeah, well,
that was a pretty good pod.
that was a sick podcast.
Yeah.
Like we said, I mean, we've probably talked about 2% out of 100 of what we have to talk about. We have a bunch of things we want to share and put out. So we're going to be putting out another podcast after my competition. Competition is Sunday, October 11th. So hopefully a podcast will be out within a few days after that.
We'll probably get some good clips there too.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can record everything.
I'm gonna be putting out a video. The whole competition. It's in Indiana. We're in Wisconsin, so we'll do a vlog driving there, weigh-ins, competing. I can't decide if I want to put the videos of me competing in the video or just post those separately. I'll figure that out, but a whole video will be up. So look forward to that. Look forward to the pod coming out. Don't be a yes man.
Don't be a yes man. Get out of your comfort zone. Try jiu-jitsu. Don't be a hater or hate. It doesn't make a difference. We're still going to do our thing. So
yeah. That's episode 6. See you guys later.